Hey, what's up, guys? It's N Squared Sports coming back with another video. Today, we're going to be talking about the Rams and the trade they made to send Brandin Cooks to the Houston Texans. So, as you know, Nick is a Texans fan. I am not so much. And so we love to talk about the Texans, to argue and stuff like that. So I'm going to first just ask Nick what his thoughts of the overall trade was. So, Nick, go ahead.
The trade was surprising because no one had any like I just saw something at like 5:30 and it was like Brandin Cooks in the Texans. There's a trade looking to happen, and then it's like literally 3 minutes later, it's like, oh, the trade happened, and I'm like, whoa, what happened? But the Texans gave up the second rounder, the 57th overall. They had the 40th overall and the 57th overall. They gave up the 57th overall, which is the back of the second round. They also they get Brandin Cooks in a 2022 fourth rounder, which I'll go into what I think the Rams are doing, but I think that pick is actually sort of more closer to like a back of the third round, beginning of the fourth round type of pick. This trade, a lot of people are going to hate on it because, they're still mad at Bill O'Brien for trading up DeAndre Hopkins. But Brandin Cooks, since 2015, has only missed 2 regular season games. He has had a concussion issue, which is it's a little bit concerning. And a concussion or 2 more could really take him out of the game, and he'd have to retire. He's still young. He's 26, but he's a burner. And him with Kenny Stills, who can burn. He's not meant to be a burner, but he has wheels. Will Fuller, who is a 4-3 guy. The Texans have 3 4-3 guys and a quality slot receiver. It's giving more depth to the offense. It's helping Will Fuller, so they're getting some insurance was needed. If they gave up the 40th overall, I would have been a little bit more upset, but the 57th overall isn't that bad of a pick to give up and to get Brandin Cooks. And now people are going to get mad that what the Texans are going to be paying for Brandin Cooks is almost similar to DeAndre Hopkins, but DeAndre Hopkins was going to either be pissed off at the team, or he was going to be paid $5 to $10 million more. Brandin Cooks is $8 million this year, and I think $12 million is what Nick said, was telling me beforehand, next year. And after that, I believe the money is they can cut him without any loss. So really, it's not that financially impacting to the team. It's overall, I think it's a pretty good trade that gives insurance to the Texans. If you look at it purely from an offensive standpoint, it's a good trade because people were mad 2 days ago that the Texans didn't have any wide receivers. Well, they got a wide receiver, and teams that also have 3 or 4 weapons that they can rely on have made it far into the postseason. We see that with the 49ers having multiple weapons. We see that with the Chiefs having multiple weapons. We see that with the Falcons a couple years ago back. Yes, they had Julio Jones, but they also had 4 or 5 weapons. That was the most dominant offense there is. We saw that with the Rams. We've seen that with the Patriots before. Other teams that have the ability to spread the ball around can't succeed in the playoffs if schemed right. Again, injuries are really, I think I mentioned this in the other video. The Texans video is out, I believe, as of right now. And I mentioned this before in there. Injuries is what it's going to be the do-all, or what people are going to be. The Texans are going to die upon. I mean, they are solely relying on injuries. And if on average, every player plays 12 games, that team is going to make the playoffs. I am confident about that. They have an offense that can do that. They have the ability to stretch the field. I can make the strong argument for a top 8 explosive offense in the NFL. And I think that's a very easy debate. When healthy. But again, I'll reiterate, health is the biggest factor about this team. Now, I want to flip the case, and I'll get Nick's opinion on this since he hasn't spoke. This is interesting because the Rams just cut Todd Gurley, I believe a week or 2 ago. And now they're getting rid of Brandin Cooks. But they're not tanking because they just traded a first-round pick for Jalen Ramsey. What's going on? What do you think? What are they doing?
Yeah, that's a really weird scenario for me, because it's like they're trying to get better on defense, but then they lose Dante Fowler in free agency, and now they cut Todd Gurley. They lose Brandin Cooks. And I really think it's all because of Jared Goff and his massive contract. They're trying to still conserve a little bit of cap space to possibly get players in the future. But I think it's just they had to really overpay for Jared Goff, and you're realizing now Jared Goff might not be all that he was cracked up to be when he first came into the league. And I think just because of that massive contract, you're having to offload some players. And with Todd Gurley, with his injury history, they were just worried. They didn't want to have to pay him big money if somehow he's really more injury prone than people think. And for Brandin Cooks, I guess they think they have enough weapons. They have Robert Woods and Cooper Kupp, and then Josh Reynolds if he becomes a bigger part of their offense this year. And I think they thought they could get away with just giving up Brandin Cooks and trying to get something back in return to use in the draft. So I think that's what they're doing. But it is really weird how they're not trying to give away players because they're bringing in Jalen Ramsey and guys like that. So they're in kind of a half tank, half not mode. I don't really know how to explain it. So it is a weird situation.
I don't really know what to take from it. I feel like it's not done, and maybe we see after this year what they really decide, but there really just seems to be a lot of confusion. They don't have a running back at all. They don't really have the best draft pick. They didn't really sign anyone. If I'm a Rams fan, I don't know what I'm thinking. I mean, I'm just confused.
I know.
In my opinion, if they blew it once they got to the Super Bowl and they never got back on their feet, and I don't think they're ever going to get back on their feet. They've had to dump so many contracts off, and I just think I think they're going to tank. If I'm not mistaken, Jalen Ramsey never got paid.
I don't think so yet, no.
So if they can let him go after this year, they should just completely tank, in my opinion. That's what I think is the best option.
Yeah, because you look at their division now, and you got the Seahawks, who are really good. The 49ers, of course, are really good now. And the Cardinals are even getting up there. Like, they're not bad anymore either. So it's like just like the Patriots when they lost Tom Brady, they could be the last in that division. The Rams can easily be the last place team in their division this year. And so I guess they're thinking, man, this division is so tough. I don't think we can win. And so I guess they're just maybe trying to tank, but then at the same time, they're not. I don't know. I think for the Brandin Cooks part of the trade, though, I think that they think they have the weapons necessary on offense still. Even though they don't have a running game, really, I think they just think, well, we have 3 other good receivers that we can play with, like that we can have. And they didn't really need Brandin Cooks because last year you saw, I know Brandin Cooks was injured a little bit last year, but his numbers were not the best last year. And I guess they're thinking maybe Cooper Kupp and Robert Woods are just better than him at this point. So I guess maybe that's what they're thinking.
Yeah, last year he did not have the best season. He had about 600 yards and only 2 touchdowns. Definitely not his best season at all.
Yeah, because I know before that
only 1 game.
Yeah, it seems like he missed a lot more than that though. With those numbers, like to put up those numbers in 15 games or 16 games or whatever is not
but
good.
In fairness, the Rams' offense was incredibly lackluster.
Yeah, it was.
But their offense really receded. We saw Jared Goff just not play well at all. Their offense, yeah, I'm looking at it right now. There's a lot of games where they scored under 20 points, or about 20 points. They averaged probably about 24, 25. Just quick math here, which, I mean, is good. But they should have done more with that offense, and I think that has to go with issues with their organization. I mean, they were 9-7.
Yeah.
I think we'll really get to see what is actually going on with the Rams once the season starts. Give it about 4 or 5 weeks, and I think we're going to be really seeing the direction of this team. I wouldn't be surprised if something happens to Jared Goff. In my opinion, I think they're sort of regretting paying Jared Goff all the money that they did because he, by all means, was not worth it. I think most people agree on that. There's not many people that are.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree. So going back To your point about the Texans, I just wanted to give a quick summary of what I think you said and how I think you're wrong about it. But of course, that's just me maybe being negative. But I just feel like, yes, you've seen teams like the 49ers get to the Super Bowl without a really star receiver. They had George Kittle, but an actual like receiver. They didn't have like a star one that they went to. You could say Deebo Samuel, but he's still really young.
Or Emmanuel Sanders at one point.
Or Emmanuel Sanders, but they're both not like the top. They're not a top 10 receiver, either of those guys. So I think, yes, you can get pretty far in the playoffs without a star receiver, but I think with the Texans, they all have receivers who are all like under 6 feet tall, except for their tight end. Is that right? I'm pretty sure all of their.
I think Will Fuller's a little bit taller, but you're not giving him a jump ball type of thing. But I get your point, yeah.
Yeah, so you have a lot of fast and speedy receivers, but you don't have that. Even DeAndre Hopkins wasn't that big, but he was more of a possession receiver where you could throw jump balls and he would go get it.
Mm-hmm.
But with the team you have now, unless you're going to throw them up to Darren Fells, I don't know about that. But just with their receivers now, I don't feel like you have a guy, even with Brandin Cooks, you don't have a guy that you can trust 100% of the time to catch a ball. Like if it's a crucial like 3rd and 4 and you need a first down, like Brandin Cooks, he's not necessarily going to be the guy that you go to in that situation, which DeAndre Hopkins always was. So in that case, I don't think that Brandin Cooks made their team a whole lot better. They just gave him, I think that the Texans just got another player that can be another Will Fuller type. I don't think, like, if you were going to trade for a receiver, I would get a guy that is more suited like DeAndre Hopkins, even if he's not as talented. Still get a guy that is kind of a possession receiver and good other than just burning people. So that's what I think. But
I think, yeah, I definitely I agree with that point. I don't think the Texans are done with wide receivers.
They have a lot of them, though. I will give them credit. They have like 5 deep receivers that can all play. So I will give them credit for that.
Yes, I completely agree with you. Kiki Cudi, I think, is going to be cut. Most people are like, we had Kiki Cudi, why did we sign Randall Cobb? I will go find articles where I guarantee those same people were bashing Kiki Cudi. It was horrible. I don't want to hear anything different. The dude, he practically lost us some games with his fumbling issues and the fact that he couldn't run a route to save his life. Anywho, the wide receiver class, this draft class, and I mentioned it in another video, is just insane. Almost you can go to the 5th round and find guys that can make a quality impact. And I think the Texans could find a guy in the 3rd or 4th round if they draft that is that 6'3", 6'4" guy that is meant to just catch jump balls that they could develop.
Well, that's going to do it for this video. Thank you all for watching. Let us know if you have any other Texans videos you want us to make. We like making these just to kind of banter back and forth, and give us any suggestions you have on any other videos you want us to make. We're trying to be more active now. So thank you all for watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you guys next time.